Do Roth conversions make sense? Should you do them? In today's video, I'm going to teach you how you can use the retirement budget calculator to see if Roth conversions make sense for your specific situation. So if you're ready, let's dive in. Okay, we'll start out on the timeline. This is a hypothetical make-believe scenario for John and Nancy. He was born in 1964. She was born in 1965. We've entered their assets and liabilities. Really easy to do. You just hit this green button, and then you can enter things like, for example, if they have a traditional IRA, you can enter that information here. But you notice that he has an IRA with $500,000. And then in order to model Roth conversions, because he doesn't currently have a Roth, we needed to create a new account to be able to show that those conversions would be taking place. Over here in the budget, we have some basic information about their income, tax withholdings, and expenses. And then in the federal tax section, this is where we are estimating taxes on a year-by-year basis. A couple of assumptions that we assume are that, number one, the tax brackets increase every year with inflation by about 2% per year. And then we are also assuming that the standard deduction is increasing at 2% per year. And then in the retirement optimizer, what this is doing is creating a year-by-year cash flow model for us. So you can see this is the income they currently have coming in. The green bar represents the year of retirement. And then they're going to drop down. All they're going to have is some Social Security income after that. We compare their guaranteed income to their expenses. And what that does is it tells us if we have to take any portfolio withdrawals from their accounts. If you click on the value of the accounts, you can see where those portfolio withdrawals are coming from. We get them down to age 75, and this is when required minimum distributions kick in. And then, of course, you'll notice when they're both 75, their RMDs, between their guaranteed income of Social Security plus their RMDs, is the income's greater than what their budget requires. And so in the baseline scenario, we assume that they're not reinvesting this surplus. Anytime it's a black number, it assumes that they have a surplus. If it's a red number, it means they have a shortfall. It means they don't have enough guaranteed income coming in to cover all their expenses. And whenever there's a shortfall, we're taking portfolio withdrawals to make up for the difference. But in this case, you can see we're assuming that his life expectancy is age 93, hers is age 95. And if we don't do any Roth conversions, we just have them making it all the way to her life expectancy at age 95, you'll notice there's $952,000 remaining. In this model, we're assuming that their accounts are only growing at 4% per year. And the type of accounts that they have remaining are his IRA with $269,000, her IRA with $306,000, his Roth 401k with $149,000, his 401k with $149,000, and then his Roth 401k with $226,000. So if we don't do any conversions, that's what you're going to see. Now, we do have this conversion strategy over here. And one of the things I want to point out to you, if we look at the taxes section, and then we shrink this down and we go to lifetime tax, one of the things you'll see is that from 2025 through 2030, because they're still working, their taxes are pretty high, but then when they retire, they're going to drop down to a period of time where their tax rates are going to be very low, because all they're going to have is Social Security, and they're going to be taking their portfolio withdrawals from their brokerage accounts initially. So if you look down here, you can see right now their total estimated lifetime taxes are $642,000. But what they're thinking of doing in this particular scenario is trying to fill up some of these tax brackets where they currently have zero tax liability. And so if we come over back to the retirement optimizer and you come down here to the conversion strategy, this is where we're selecting his traditional IRA and that new Roth IRA account that we created. And that we're saying after they retire in the year 2031, they're going to convert $75,000. It's going to be a taxable IRA distribution. This tax exclude amount is for those of you that have after-tax contributions in your IRAs. Maybe not all of the conversion will be taxable. You can account for that there. And so you'll notice you can do this by either dollar amount or percentage of the account, or the specific dollar amount. In this case, we're doing the dollar amount. And you'll notice we do a Roth conversion in 2031, 2032, 2033, all the way out through 2039. We start out at $75,000 a year, and then the last couple of years we only do $25,000 Roth conversions. So now if you want to add another Roth conversion, you just hit this green plus button and you choose the account that you're converting from, and you choose the account that you're converting to, and you do the year that you're doing the conversion, and then you say how much of a conversion do you want to do. But in this case we don't need that last one, so I'll delete it, and then we're going to hit save. Now when I hit save, you'll notice this green eye becomes active. It becomes green instead of gray. So there's a couple of things that we want to do now that we're modeling these Roth conversions. Number one, if we don't do any Roth conversions, let's just look at the tax liability. So remember, the lifetime tax liability with no Roth conversions is $642,000. If we turn this on now, we do those conversions, you'll notice the lifetime tax liability is now only $585,000. So the first thing that we can say is that in their situation, in this specific model, Roth conversions do appear to make sense simply from the standpoint of lifetime taxes. Now the next thing that we want to look at are the value of their accounts. So let me show you a mistake you want to avoid here. Now if we turn this off and we come down at her life expectancy at age 95, you'll see that the value of the accounts is $952,000. If all I do is turn on this conversion strategy, you'll notice the value of the accounts goes to $1,647,000. But there's a reason that that's happening. You'll notice that if we don't do those Roth conversions, their required minimum distributions are much higher. And now, in the years when they're taking those higher RMDs, they're running a surplus all of those years. So remember, by default, the calculator assumes that if there's a surplus, the surplus is getting spent. But in their case, what we want to be able to do is show that those surpluses are being reinvested. And so we come down here, we say that we want to invest the surplus into a joint brokerage account. 100% of the surplus will be invested. And so we turn that on. And now you'll see that at the end, they have $1,750,000 remaining. And if we do the conversion strategy, they have $1,647,000 remaining. And then if we also do the reinvestment in the years when they have a surplus, they're at $1,693,000. If we don't do the conversion, they have $1,750,000. So the difference is, you'll notice the difference is because now we're assuming that all of this surplus is being reinvested, and so that's why the values are different. But there's one more thing that we want to look at. If we click on this account, you'll notice if we don't do the Roth conversions, most of the money that they have remaining they have the brokerage account, the traditional IRA accounts, and the 401k, and just a little bit, $226,000 in the Roth 401k. Now, if we do the conversions, they have $1.4 million in the Roth IRA, $226,000 in the Roth 401k. So now what happens is all of this money is tax-free. It goes to their beneficiaries tax-free. And the beneficiaries currently, under today's law, they have 10 years that they can leave that money in there. It can continue to grow tax-free for another 10 years before they have to take it as a distribution, a tax-free distribution. So these are some of the ways that you're going to want to model. You're going to want to look at your Roth conversions and say, how much money am I going to pay in taxes over my lifetime if I do a Roth conversion? How much money am I going to have in my accounts at the end of my life if I do the Roth conversion? And then when those accounts pass to the next generation, how much of those are going to be taxable? Those are some of the different variables that you can test and you can play with within the retirement budget calculator. You can sign up for free and try this for yourself and see how the numbers work out. One of the things I want to remind you is that taxes are not going to stay the same. Whatever the tax, we're using the current tax law to project that forward. I guarantee you that in the course of the next 30 years, Congress is going to mess with the tax law and it's going to be different over your lifetime. So that's one thing to keep in mind when we're doing these projections. The other thing is, remember, somebody's financial life, your financial life is kind of like a fingerprint. It's very unique to your specific situation. what we're modeling here does not mean that this is a good idea for your specific situation. So you always have to look at how is this going to impact you directly, and I would highly encourage you to meet with your CPA and your financial advisor before making any changes in your financial life, just to make sure that you have really thought through all of the implications, because under the current tax law, you could get phased out of certain deductions. You could end up paying higher Medicare taxes if you're not, or Medicare premiums if you're not careful. There's a lot of interconnected parts when you're doing this type of planning. So make sure that you're thinking through all of the implications. Okay, thanks so much.